Now let's go on to the Journalists' Union, the Media, Entertainment and Arts Alliance, that's now withdrawn from the media watchdog, the Australian Press Council. The union's Vice President, Karen Percy, a former long-time ABC journo, an old workmate of mine, she said to maintain trust in journalism, we need a credible regulator with real consequences for breaches, and that the union thinks the Press Council is no longer fit for purpose. So the union that represents journalists wants tougher consequences against journalists. Well, some journalists, of course, they don't complain about the ABC's Louise Milligan getting it wrong on Cardinal George Pell, for instance, or the ABC tricking up alarmism over climate change. They have other people in mind. As the Sydney Morning Herald reported last month, the union did take exception to how the Press Council dismissed complaints about a controversial Mark Knight cartoon of Serena Williams in the Herald Sun in 2018. It caused a stink, and the Press Council ruled there was a sufficient public interest in commenting on behaviour and sportsmanship during a significant dispute between a tennis player with a globally high profile and an umpire at the US Open final. So it found there was no failure to consider such issues as causing substantial offence, distress or prejudice without sufficient justification in the public interest. And therefore, standards were not breached. So this was a win for journalism, wasn't it? A win for the cartoonist satire. What's more, a win for common sense. Not according to the Journos Union. It apparently wanted more action against its own member, Knight, who was hit by a disgusting global pylon at the time.
My family are worried and upset at the threats that we're getting.
Knight even faced public shaming from author J.K. Rowling.
Well done on reducing one of the greatest sportswomen alive to racist and sexist tropes.
That'd be the same J.K. Rowling who's now a prisoner in her own luxury compound after questioning the progressive wisdom that trans women are in fact women. Maybe she might have a greater understanding about free speech nowadays. Anyway, this is all newsworthy again because after a lifetime of union membership, Knight has responded to this latest perversion of the Journalists' Union pulling out of the Press Council because it found in favour of him. He has quit the union. Good for him. Mark Knight joins me now. Great to talk to you, Mike. Mark, I admire what you've done here. I mean, you're looking for a union that protects freedom of speech and your professional integrity. They apparently want to join the pylon because you dared to satirise a famous sportswoman throwing a tantrum, and they deemed it as racist because what? Because she was black.
Well, that appears the case, Chris. The cartoon was always about bad behaviour on a tennis court. In fact, that week during the US Open in 2018, I'd drawn a cartoon about our Nick Kyrgios behaving terribly, and that was published in the Herald Sun. A few days later, I did the Serena cartoon on another case of bad behaviour. But as you were stating, it was taken and the cartoon was distorted on social media. People like J.K. Rowling were editorialising it and sending it out to their millions of minions, and then they were all throwing it back on top of me. So, it was an amazing case of the power of social media, but I was on the bottom of the pile, and it wasn't a pleasant experience.
But, you know, you've been a lifetime member of the Journos Union. This is where you expect them to defend you, to defend free speech, to defend your professional integrity. They've taken all that money from you over the years under false pretences.
Well, it does seem strange. It puts me in a difficult situation where if the union isn't comfortable with me, then I do feel uncomfortable with it. So I think I'm just put in a difficult position of having to resign. They did call me. They didn't call me during Serena, mind you, just to say, hey, are you okay? But Marcus Strong did call me the other day, and he did say that he never background against me. But in that story that first appeared in The Age, it did say that, I've got it here, people familiar with the union's decision were not happy that I was let off, so to speak. And, Nick Tabakoff in The Australian covered this story the other day, and he did a great job exposing the story, and now here I am talking to you.
Now, I don't know your politics, but do you fear that the union, rather than defending professional interests of journalists and free speech and editorial standards, I suppose, has drifted off to a pretty green left agenda?
Well, as you know, there's a war going on, Chris, and what do we call it? The battle of ideas. Maybe I just don't fit with the direction that they want to take. I mean, I do believe in the representation of workers by unions in some industries, and I mean, that's why I was a member. I mean, I support good journalism, and I thought that the union supported that as well. Obviously, in this case, I think I'm a bit difficult for them, and they've decided that maybe it would be better off without me.
Well, Mark, we admire your work. I admire what you've done here, although I agree it is sad. You should be able to have that camaraderie and that protection from the union, and they should be proud to have you as a member, and it's sad that it ends up this way. And I tell you one other thing that's very sad, and that is in those premiership posters we can see behind you, there's no Adelaide Crows poster and no likelihood anytime soon.
Chris, I have a 2017 losing poster of the Crows, if that's any consolation.
No, I don't want it. Thanks for talking to us, Mark. Good luck. We're going to look at some of your cartoons later on with Johannes.
Mate, thank you for the support. Appreciate it.
Mark Knight there, just a fantastic cartoonist with the Herald Sun in Melbourne. Kel, what a sad day when someone of that calibre, long-standing, lifetime member says, no, you guys don't have my back, I'm out of here.
Well, I joined that union so long ago, it was still called the AJA back in those days. And very early in the piece, 1980s, I had a legal problem. They were terrific, came to my aid, very supportive. It all worked. They got a win for me. So they've been a good union over the years. What actually lost me, the way they lost me, because I've let my membership go now, is in the battle over 18C in the Anti-Discrimination Act. That exposed, of all people, journalists. Anyone can stand up and say, I'm offended. So it was a very dangerous clause. And what we got from the union in that case was a deafening silence.
Yeah.
It was an occasion to say, we're defending free speech because that matters to journalists. They did nothing.
They just take the green left line now.
Yes.
Sophie, I've got to say that I have a similar history to Mark, but back in the 90s, I quit the journalists' union because I exposed the Hindmarsh Island secret women's business, and I triggered a royal commission into that, a royal commission, I might add, that vindicated all my reporting. But instead of defending me, I came under a lot of attack then politically. The union jumped on what they thought was the politically woke side against me. So I said, I'm out of this union. In fact, I told them they should send me back every bit of the dues I'd sent them over the years. I never got that money back. But I don't know whether you're a member or not, but regardless, you must be concerned that they've become such a politicised entity.
Well, I'm with both you and Kel, Chris. I ditched my membership as well. And I heard that they're losing members rapidly in recent times. It concerns me. I mean, Mark Knight is incredible. His work is just remarkable. He's an award-winning cartoonist. As he said, he's been with them for a long time, and they were not supportive of him. And the union is meant to stand up for you when you need that support. You pay your fees to have them in your corner when things don't go right. And it concerns me that they don't like decisions and then shift to the way that they want those decisions to go. And clearly that's untenable for Mark. And I think he's done the right thing to relinquish his membership.